Everyone, back to the more YouTube channel. It's Chris back with my rant stroke thought of the day. Just a quick update video on the pie in the sky, the dream that never seems to be realised, the new stadium for Newcastle United. What's going on with it? It's gone very quiet. What's gone on, as we normally say? What's gone on with it? Where has it gone? It's all gone quiet. It's all been, you know, silence. No one's talking about it anymore. But alas, here is some updates, if you want, if you will, from Craig Hope, many people's doom and gloom merchant. I actually like Craig. I've said that a few times. I've had a couple of pints with Craig in different occasions. He's a really nice fellow, to be fair. Very tall, much taller than me, which doesn't take much, but he's a nice guy. And I like what he does. I like his piece. I like his channel and everything else. And he's done a little piece about this kind of pitch document that seems to be doing the rounds about Newcastle United's new stadium. And the big headline gig is that the PIF will not be funding the whole thing, is what they've said. So just to break it down in terms of what it could be and what it means, what it could mean for the football club moving forward, is basically, I suppose, a nice example that Craig gives you. If the stadium costs $2 billion, then the PIF and the Rubens would kick in for half of it, which would be $1 billion, and then Newcastle United themselves would have to pay for the other $1 billion through various interest-free loans or whatever it may be. Now, why is that a bad thing for Newcastle United? Well, it's a bad thing because if they've got to take loans out to pay for the stadium, it then comes off the kind of overall PSR, FFP figure, and it then hampers the club in terms of its day-to-day running, in terms of its ability to recruit and buy players. That is going to be a problem for us. We've already seen how PSR can ruin a football club, certainly with us when we lost Anderson and Minter, or we would have breached and would have been in big trouble. We've had to sell Alexander Isak for 125 million recently as well, because even that's given more headroom for PSR. So the thought of having to have a £1 billion loan getting paid for by the football club is not particularly great, because it means we can't add to the roster really. Maybe we can't even pay players new contracts and bigger wages, which is probably the reason we lost Alexander Isak in the first place. So that doesn't really appeal particularly in that regard. But why do we need a new stadium? Of course, we need a new stadium. We need to increase the matchday revenue. The matchday revenue is nowhere near what it could or should be for Newcastle United, and an increased matchday revenue brings you more money in as a football club and then helps you get a better PSR and FFP situation than you currently find yourself in. Now, there's been loads of stories about the stadium over the last few months and even the last few weeks. I don't know whether this was in Craig's piece or not, but 70,000 seated capacity is what it was being muted and what's being said. Some people are worried, thinking that's not enough. Now, 70,000 is obviously a kick up from 52,000. And bear in mind, a lot of that capacity is going to be away fans and some corporate seats. What worries me about a new stadium, and certainly in the world of corporate increased revenue that the football clubs, all football clubs, not just Newcastle, all clubs seem to find themselves in, is if we get a brand new shiny Leazes Park Stadium, 70,000 seater capacity, and we're all going, come on, get up there, you know, chance for a season ticket. Those who binned it off in the past, cough, cough, not mentioning any names, you know, people who are dying to get on the waiting list, young fans who want to go and watch Newcastle United. All these people kind of get in to see it because there's no tickets available. You can't get a ticket unless you go to a private school in Dundee. Sorry, that has been kiboshed. Or you happen to be one of the lucky ballot winners. Some people more lucky than others. Certainly luckier than me, because I get fuck all in the ballots when I try and go for them. So it's a big problem. People can't get to the ground. People with any postcodes, people outside of any postcodes can't get to the ground. So yes, we need a bigger stadium for that very reason. But what worries me is a bigger stadium, 70,000 capacity, is not massively bigger than what St James's Park is. What worries me is the amount of corporate seats that will be given out from that 70,000 capacity. And you could, in real term, only really end up with maybe about 60,000 capacity, possibly. And then you only look at an 8,000 increase from St James's Park, and that's not particularly great. That won't even cover the season ticket waiting list, really. But this kind of update, if you will, goes to show you that the PIF, you know, don't want to be deemed as what they call sugar daddies for Newcastle United. They're not just going to fund the lot. They want Newcastle to kind of wash their own face a little bit, and that's fine. But then there is obviously issues there and knock-on effects with investing in the squad. You know, I was talking about this not too long ago. That, you know, people are talking about, what do we do if we can't go and buy superstars? We need to grow superstars. You know, we need to bring people through the academy. There's not enough of that going on. There's some very talented young players in the academy. We've seen Lewis Miley break through. You know, obviously got a little bit of abuse recently unfairly, which I said in my last video. But we need players like that coming through the academy. If we're going to be shelling out money for a massive new shiny stadium, we're going to have to rely even more on those types of players coming through the ranks. So Eddie's going to have to start using them and integrating them more in the squad instead of hanging on to players in their mid-30s and looking to buy players, you know. So that's going to be a challenge for Eddie Howe if he's still a manager, which hopefully he will be. Of course he will be by then. But yeah, this whole stadium thing, it's kind of being mooted at the moment. It's just in discussion phases at the moment. So that tells me any stories, any news that you heard about them, you know, planting little flags in Leazes Park and saying that's the stadium, that's what we're going to build it, is way off. Absolutely way off. Never mind, you know, the kind of, you know, political issues with regards to having a stadium in Leazes Park in the first place. That has obviously been massively vetoed by, you know, government, by certain groups as well that don't want that stadium there. So it is a bit of a tricky situation, this new stadium situation, not only to fund it by the looks of it now, but to build it as well. So I'm not sure we'll get a resolution on this anytime soon, to be honest with you. All that talk of getting an announcement by last season or whatever it was all kind of pie in the sky. But very interesting update, this one, really. Let us know in the comments below what you think about the fact that the PIF don't want to pay for the stadium themselves. I mean, they've paid and bought for lots of stadiums over in Saudi Arabia for the World Cup. They've done that, but they don't want to pay for the entirety of the Newcastle United Stadium. Are you disappointed by that? Do you think that they should be paying at least 75% of that, and the club only dipping in for 25%, which is a lesser loan figure, which means there's more headroom to spend on players? We don't know the exact figures, you know, it's all just at discussion stages at the moment, but do you think it shows the PIF are maybe less inclined to invest more money in Newcastle? Are you concerned about that? Or do you think this is just a natural progression in terms of the stadium? Me personally, I think it's a sign of the Saudi Arabians kind of spreading that asset of the PIF worldwide. And Newcastle United is just one very small investment hub for them. They don't want to throw any real weight behind it. We've seen that with the lack of interest, the lack of, you know, involvement in terms of the boardroom level, some of the questionable appointments that have been made, some of the discourse, some of the disarray, you know, in terms of, you know, the boardroom, the playing scenario. Eddie Howe's kind of saved these guys a lot of blushes by overachieving and winning a trophy and doing so well with vastly the same amount of players, the same type of players that he had before the takeover. So I'm not sure the Saudi Arabians and the PIF are massively as invested in this project as we would like them to be. It's still good that they're here in terms of they're not Mike Ashley. They are putting money in. They have bought a lot of players, certainly more than Mike Ashley did. And they're even willing to discuss a new stadium, then there you go. But there's also the emotional situation with leaving St James's Park, a new stadium too. And yeah, it all just sounds like it's very much at an early development stage, just nowhere near getting done. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Always like to hear from you. Like and subscribe, keep it ever more. Loads of content coming in the next few weeks. Football's coming thick and fast, Premier League and Champions League, and hopefully we'll have something to celebrate with and more wins on the board as well. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a belter. See you later.
Heroes celebrate. They have done it.